Welcome back to another segment here on GEMS podcast. For those of you that are new to the community, I am Miss Genesis Amaris Kemp, the founder and host. For those seasoned listeners, thank you so much for listening to another segment. With me today is a special guest by the name of Brianne Ligori, and Brianne and I are going to be diving into her book, why she wrote it, and how she's helping other people live and lead from the heart. But here's a bit about Brianne. She is an author, certified coach, entrepreneur, and passionate advocate for claiming joy today. And how many of y'all want to take your life back instead of having life take you back? So I want you to think about that. Brianne, one other thing that she does is she believes that everybody can and should live a life of purpose and joy. In her writing and coaching, she is laser focused on a worldview of infinite possibilities and a relentless pursuit of purpose. So if you don't know what your purpose is, she can definitely help you find it. She sets an inspiring example by standing firmly for living according to her inner truth. And y'all, it's not always about the external factors, but it's about you taking time to go inwardly to find out who you are and not what society tries to label you or not what they try to confine you as. So without further ado, let's welcome the woman behind it all, Brianne Ligori.
Hi, Genesis. It's so good to be here with you today. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure, Brianne. Thank you for sharing and holding space. And I definitely want to get you connected with the audience in a fun and personal way. So there's two options we can do. We could do either an icebreaker or a rapid fire 10 question game. What are you in the mood for?
Ooh, let's try an icebreaker.
Okay, here we go. We're breaking the ice with Brianne and Genesis. Do 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 do. Question of the icebreaker. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
I want you to share something crazy that you have done in your life that actually turned out to build your character, or a fun and interesting fact about yourself that your tribe may not even know about you, but it makes you Brianne Ligori.
That is an awesome question. And what's coming to my mind is actually skydiving. So in my 20s, not now, in my 20s, I actually did 300 skydives. So it was a really fun time of my life. My husband and I did it. We had a lot of fun doing it. I don't do it anymore because I have twins, and as soon as I became a mom, I got a bit worried. But honestly, like, I loved the feeling of freedom. So that's what I would say it really taught me, is that how important that is to me in my life, is that sense of freedom and autonomy. It's like when you're just, falling through the air, there's so much freedom about it. It's truly amazing. So it was such a fun part of my life.
Wow, that is amazing because you said 300 jumps.
300, yes.
Oh
I
my
know,
gosh,
crazy.
that is crazy. And that is such an interesting fact. And then the other interesting fact was that you said, oh, you have twins. So
I do.
how old are your kiddos, if you don't mind me asking?
They are turning 11 in August. Yeah.
Do you have identical or fraternal?
So they're fraternal. So it's a boy and a girl, Luca and Gabriella, and they are best friends at times, worst enemies at other times. It's a really interesting relationship to see play out in the twins.
That is amazing. So if I ever go skydiving, I am going to email you because I've only went indoor skydiving at this place called iFly. I don't know if they have it where
Yes.
you're located. And it was so
Yep.
cool. And I was like, let me test this one out to see if I could really do it from a plane. But doing it from a plane is totally different than doing the indoor one. But they keep saying the simulator gets you the feeling as if you're really jumping. I was like, no. It's totally different because your feet are right there on the plane and then all you see is nothing. Here, I can see the bottom of this tunnel.
Exactly. Whole different feeling.
So thank you for sharing that. And audience, I hope you learned something interesting about Brianne. And if you're interested in going skydiving or you want some pointers, this is your gal. So let's jump into the main part of the segment, Brianne. It's about how you got to where you are now and what prompted you to write the book, which is Your TGI Today. But before we dive into your arrival point, it's so important that we talk about the back end story, because had it not been for the back end story, would you be the woman you are today?
Oh, yeah. No, I think the back end story is so important in each of our lives. And for me, I had a pretty good childhood, great parents. I was a competitive swimmer, did sort of okay in school, wasn't like a straight A's, but kind of, B's, that kind of thing. And so I would say I had a pretty good childhood. But one thing I notice is that I never really felt like I fit into this box that's kind of set out there. Sort of what you mentioned in the beginning, what society is telling us we need to do. I never really felt like I fit in. I didn't know why. When you're young, you have no idea why you just feel a little bit off. So when it came time to apply to university, it's like I didn't fit into any of those things, like lawyer, doctor, physiotherapist, like none of those fit, and I had no idea what the heck to do. So honestly, I ended up signing up for a program that just felt like it would please people and it would look good. So I ended up doing kinesiology and health science. Again, kind of went through that, not really feeling like it was my thing, but didn't know why. Um, and then, of course, I followed the typical path when I graduated. I became like a fitness trainer at a gym, what you would expect a kinesiology and health science student to do. And again, just felt like a fish out of water. But it was through some opportunities and some people I actually met through that job that opened up doors to new possibilities. And I ended up working in the pharmaceutical industry for 15 years. It was great. Like I loved every minute of it. In those 15 years, I had 10 different jobs. So I was the person that was kind of jumping every, 18 months to 2 years to try something new. So I did sales and marketing and training and coaching and management. And through those opportunities is where I started to kind of, get my sea legs, I guess you might say, in leadership, in speaking, in coaching. So although for so many years I never really felt like I fit in or wasn't really sure what to do, when you lean into those opportunities, the next thing shows up, which is so interesting, right? That was something I learned through my journey. And then that's kind of really why I am where I am today, is because in those jobs, I got put through to become a certified coach. I had an opportunity to lead teams, and I started to realize my passion is in joy connecting. So I call myself a joy connector because I'm all about connecting people to that inner spark inside, kind of like that fire in their belly that is going to lead them to their happiness.
So let's pause there and let's digest this with the audience, because as you're explaining your story, it kind of sounds similar to mine, and I'm going to share a bit of mine. So it felt like you were going through life and you had like that feeling inside of you, and some people may say that intuition, that discernment, or something where the neurons just were not connecting, because you're like, I could do that, but it doesn't feel like it's me, like there's more to me. So then you may have gotten to a point where, okay, let me try kinesiology, because it seems easy, it seems like I could do it or whatnot. And so if I'm thinking about it in parallel, I'm like, let me try psychology. Like I could use this as a stepping stone and eventually go to medical school, because that was my whole plan. Like I wanted to be a pediatrician when I grew up, but sometimes life happens and you don't understand why certain things are happening to you right then, but then later on in life you realize that it happened for you to catapult you into the next season or next dimension of your life. And you mentioned spending 15 years in the pharmaceutical company. I was like, I didn't spend 15 years in pharmaceuticals, but I spent 15 years in corporate America, where I went from my first job in high school was not typical fast food. It was Remax Preferred Homes. Then I worked at the cancer center for a short stint. Then that's whenever, after I got laid off, I fell into oil and gas. I'm like, really? This is not in alignment with medical school. What am I going to do in oil and gas? A brown girl, it's a white male dominated field. I was in oil and gas for 12 years, but I learned so much by just doing those rotational assignments, kind of like you described, every like 2 years. And some, for me, some were every 4 years, some were every few months, based on the business needs, your skill sets, and how they compare both of them. So I started at the bottom, imaging clerk, then went on to project management, then HSC, so health, safety, environmental. Then you get capped out, and then you transition to another company. So I was an admin, so start from a manager to an admin. So that's like a big step down. Then raw material coordinator, ordering all the supplies for polypropylene, dot. And I'm not going to be long winded, but I could hear the sentiment of whenever you go through those things in life, you start to realize, okay, I'm meeting connections and you're networking, and your network is tied to your net worth. And I'm sure we all heard that sentiment. And you may never know why certain people come into your life until like it's time to move on to that season. And for you, you like to help people glow up, find their inner spark, find their joy. And once they find that, then you could help them navigate uh, your ideal situation. And when I say your audience, I'm talking about you, because Brianne connects where you are to make it worthwhile, because she wants to help you ignite your purpose and you live that out. So Brianne, would you say that's a good similarity and would tie it together what you just said?
Oh, 100%, Genesis. And I love when you say like things happen for us. Like every single thing in our life will lead to the next when we show up with our purpose and our passion. Even sometimes when it doesn't feel like we really like that situation, often the people around us are there to teach us lessons. So very, very beautiful parallel.
Thank you. And then whenever you were going through the lessons and you got to your period, Brianne, where you said, you know what, this is what I want to do. I now know that helping other people gives me joy, and it helps them find their joys because now they have clarity and focus. Tell us what that looked like. What was that aha moment where everything kind of just lit up, or I'll just say the fireworks went off and you had that boom?
So for me, it was sort of like a slow burn or a slow boom because this journey to write my book was about 4 years. And honestly, like I did not intend to write a book. Like I did not start out as a writer. It just sort of happened. So what I noticed in the world around me as a leader, as a coach, and also in myself is that we live in the society that I call TGIF. Okay, so yes, we see the memes every Friday. People are excited for the weekend. That's totally cool. But it's when it becomes more than just Fridays. So it becomes, I need to get to that next vacation or that next job title or that next bonus check. Oh, I'll be happy when I get there. But the thing is that when we get there, we're not happy. We set our eyes on the next thing. So I started to see this all around us. And of course, in myself, with all those jobs I was taking and all the moves I was making, I was also living a TGIF life. So I wanted to help people to start shifting. How do we find more joy today instead of waiting till tomorrow? Because we don't really know if tomorrow will ever come. It's not a guarantee. So that is what set me out on my journey to start kind of finding what are those factors that go into our joy. And that's where I came up with the TGI Today formula that is in my book.
I love that, because then what I hear is you became more intentional, and you became more aware and conscious of, let's live today and enjoy today versus waiting for everything else to line up. Because whenever you wait for everything to line up and you check those boxes, once you get there, you're not really feeling fulfilled because you're chasing the next pipe dream, or you're trying to get to the next thing that you could just check off your list to say, aha. But if you're really focused on where you are, enjoying what's happening today and really being present, then you start to find more fulfillment, more joy, more inspiration, more empowerment, and etc. Would you say that's a good representation?
Oh, that's exactly it. It's that fulfillment piece. Like so many of us have everything from the outside. It's like that traditional definition of success that we talked about earlier. It's like okay, we need to get the job and the university degree and the family and the car and all of that. That's what success is, or what society tells us success is. But the thing is, if we follow that, we're eventually going to have this inner calling that's saying to us, there's more to life. And what's missing is that internal fulfillment. If we're always chasing things that sit outside of ourselves, we never really have that internal fulfillment. So we need to kind of start shifting and saying, okay, what does success mean to me as an individual, or to you, Genesis, or to our listeners? It's going to be different from all of us. We need to break free of that box that we were put in all the way from when we were born, and really start redefining what our personal success is, who we truly are, what we want, what matters to us. And then we have to exercise our power of choice to follow that.
Absolutely. So, Brianne, I want you to hold up your book, Your TGI Today, and let's unpack the book cover, because there's always intentionality whenever an author puts a book out, and the cover can either make or break the book, because that's what's going to cause someone walking by say, "Ooh, I got to open that." So talk about the book cover, because I see the blue and I just kind of want to hear the reasoning behind it.
Yeah, sure thing. So this is an interesting story because I actually had several covers designed and I had one picked out. And then I said to myself, you know what? I need to get people's opinions. So I put it up on my social media, and they actually voted for the complete opposite one that I had originally thought made sense. And the reason they chose this is because they believe it really stood out. It had pow. It really sort of created curiosity for people with the dragonfly here. And this dragonfly also symbolizes something that's really, really important in the book as well. So when I talk about my TGI Today formula, so it's a very specific formula that helps us to get to our joy. And I'm just going to share that here. I don't know if you can see that. So TGI Today, so joy today, is purpose plus people plus pace. And it sits on that foundation of the power of choice. So if something in our purpose isn't aligning with who we truly are, then we need to make a choice to do something different. The people, we're not surrounding ourselves with people that are lifting us up, supporting us towards our goals, then we have a choice to do something different. Maybe it's setting firmer boundaries, or maybe calling other people into your life that would better support you. And then the third element is pace. So our days are busy. So many of us struggle with this. So for TGI Today, if we want to get there, we really need to get a handle on our pace of our days. And the power of choice supports us to get there. So all of that to be said, the people, the second part, are dragonflies. So in my book, I refer to the people in our life as dragonflies, because dragonflies come in different shapes and sizes and colors and with different strengths. And that so beautifully maps to the people in our lives. And it is really up to us to design our life and who we surround ourselves with. So the dragonfly has so much significance in this book.
I love that. And can you hold it up one more time for those that are watching the video component? I want to just give them a chance to take a screenshot if they want of that formula, because that
Oh,
is powerful.
absolutely.
And I'm going to also put it in the show notes. So purpose, people, and pace over. And then what does hold on.
Power of choice.
Over power of choice. And that's the TGI formula for today. So let's kind of unpack that a little bit, because if you know your purpose, then you know who the people you're serving. And then once you know the people that you're serving, you can figure out the pace at how you could serve them. And then over choice, right?
Yep.
So then whenever you think about over choice, so because I'm trying to think about this to make sure we're breaking it down for the audience. So do you feel like they have to do it in chronological order in order for the formula to work? Because, remember I don't know if you remember this in school, we did the PEMDAS method. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Do you remember that?
Sounds vaguely familiar.
So it's like parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division, addition, and subtraction. And that was like the order to help you like figure out that I think it was quadratic equation or something.
Yep,
So with
yep.
so do you feel with your formula, Brianne, that someone who is trying to go through this journey to find their joy, that they need to first identify who their who their people are first, or do they first need to identify what is my purpose? Why was I placed here on earth? And once they know that, then they can tap into their ideal avatar and how they can serve those people.
Yeah, no, it's a great question. So the book is designed in a way that you can go through it at your own pace in bite-sized chunks. It's actually a book that you do. So it is a full
Mm,
color book that you actually go through and design your TGI today. And it actually starts with a self assessment. So we go through each of those elements: purpose, people, and pace, and we see where you're kind of lining up with each of those. So you can make a decision as to
mm,
where the best place to start is. Because at the
mm.
end of the day, it's your journey, it's all about choice. So you can kind of like move throughout the book as it feels right. You can follow it right through, or you can say, you know what? Pace is my area of opportunity. I'm going to jump right to that chapter, work on that now, because it's a journey to find our joy. It's not going to happen in the flick of a finger. It's something we need to work on baby steps every single day. So that's how this was designed to really support that.
Okay, perfect. Because I just want to make sure the audience knows, okay, do they need to go in chronological order? Can they go out of order to end up getting to the same end result? So as long as they work the formula, it will work for you. But audience, you don't need to
Absolutely.
go in chronological order. And then the delineation is power over choice. Once they figure out the people, the pace, and they figure out, ooh, sorry, y'all. They figure out the purpose, then how do they get to that power over choice to really make sure it sticks?
Yeah, this is the key thing. So it's great to know our purpose. It's great to know who we need to surround ourselves with and our ideal pace. But if we don't exercise that power of choice to do something different to live into that, then there's really no point. We are in control of our lives. We are not victim of our circumstances. We have the opportunity to create a life that we love. So in the book, we go through the power of choice. We look back at all of the sections, so purpose, people, and pace, and I help them decide which are the choices you want to make. We're not going to go for all of them all at once, right? We're going to look at what are those key choices that are truly going to make the most difference. It can be small things. So it could just be making a simple shift, or maybe it is something big like leaving your job, but it doesn't have to be, because those small, tiny little shifts add up to big things.
That is amazing. And since the book is activity based, because I like that there's different activities that they could do in the book, will you be launching a workbook or a study book that will complement your TGI today for those readers that are more analytical and they want to take time to like journal and go through like mind mapping sessions along with the book? And I think this would be a good book to do as a team building in a work setting to kind of identify, or maybe a book club or something along those lines.
Yeah, I love that idea. I actually do speaking at organizations all over the world around this, because I think through COVID, we realized like that work isn't just about the numbers anymore. Our people need to be happy. And when our people are happy, productivity is going to soar. People are going to be so much more effective at what they're doing. So I go in and actually work with teams to support them to find more joy. And honestly, again, this wasn't my intention with this book at all. But as soon as I published the book, people started reaching out and saying, "Hey, can you come help me with supporting my team?" And I'm so happy this is finally happening. I think the pandemic really triggered that, because the great resignation, thousands of people are leaving their jobs because they're not happy in their days, and they're kind of putting their foot down and saying, my joy comes first. My humanness comes first. And if you're not willing to put that first, I'm going to find something else. So organizations are now putting this at the forefront, and I'm so, so honored to be a part of that.
I love this. And thank you so much for sharing. And I'm going to throw you an audible, Brianne, because I want to be respectful of our time commitment. Is there something that I did not ask that you want to share regarding the book or the work that you're doing before we jump into the call to action to wind down?
I think the advice that I would give people is to really just tune in. Okay. So our lives are so darn busy. It's like we get up, it's like we get on a treadmill at the beginning of the day and we just go, 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 go. We don't even take a minute to, yeah, I can see you raising your hand. We all are there. And so it's a really intentional thing that we need to do is to take time to understand who we are. When we're so busy with our to-do list, we are not connecting with our true self, our heart, our intuition. So even 5 minutes a day here or there to say, who am I? What matters to me? And how am I going to make more choices to spend time doing those things? Because that ultimately is what is going to bring us more joy.
I love this. And I'll add this for the audience. Y'all, if you don't think you have 5 minutes a day, you do. You have a time when you go to the bathroom. All of us go to the bathroom, and that is your uninterrupted time because I'm sure no one else is going to the bathroom unless you're a mama and you have little ones and they're like, Mommy, Mommy, I need you. And you're like, can I just go to the bathroom in peace? Or if you're taking a shower, you could use that time to like really be intentional with your thoughts. You could meditate. You could put on something that has personal development. Sometimes I'll do my sermons in the shower. I'll listen to them, or I'll put on a positive affirmation or etc. Figure out where you can fit those 5 minutes in that will give you that boost to really connect with yourself because we all do have 5 minutes. And if you're like me and you run everything on your calendar, then just put something on your calendar and just put 5 minutes of meditation or 5 minutes of me time or whatnot. That way, if other people are connected to you and they have access to your calendar, they see that time is blocked off and they don't get in your space. And that's a way that you could set up boundaries for yourself, but also other people. So I just wanted to give those practical tips because they may work for you, they may not. If they don't, just say, hey, Genesis, that didn't work for me. And you could reach out to Brianne and I, and we could help you figure out something that does work so you can have that joy. Now, Brianne, we're going to jump into the CTA part of the segment. Our call to action. What is your call to action for the audience today once they heard us have a coffee chat conversation about your TGI today?
I think the the first thing, and I always advocate for baby steps, is to take the TGI Today self-assessment. So this is a free tool that I have on my website, brianneligori.com. You can just go over to my free resources, download the TGI Today self-assessment. And this is a really great tool to help you understand which areas you'd like to focus on. Is it purpose? Is it people? Is it pace? Is it more than one? And then I will actually email you a customized action plan for the area that you're choosing to work on, just to get you started, to see if this is something that feels right for you.
I love that. And then for those of you, her last name is spelled as follow: L as in Lima, I as in Isaac, G as in Gregory, O as in open, R as in Richard, I as in Isaac, Ligori. And first name is Brianne. For those watching the video, it's on the screen. If you're listening by audio, all of her contact information will be in the show notes, so you can definitely connect with Brianne. Brianne, what social media platforms are you on primarily, and are they backlinked to your website?
They sure are. So Instagram is probably the best place to find me at Brianne Ligori. And then you can click the link in bio. It will take you to the page where you can do the self-assessment, or you can grab a copy of my book, whatever feels right for you.
So there you have it, listeners and viewers. We just heard from Brianne Ligori, and she is definitely on a mission, y'all. She has a back end story just like you. So don't feel like, oh, Brianne has arrived, I'm not on her level. We're all going through life at our own pace, and it's a journey. So remember to give yourself grace and mercy. You can find this podcast on 40 plus platforms. So make sure you like, comment, follow, and subscribe. You can see the video to this recording by going to our YouTube channel, which is GEMS, GEMS, with Genesis Amaris Kemp. And lastly, but not least, where would I be without my supporters? You know I only think about you. No, y'all, I'm not a singer. I just like to have fun. Thank you so much for just supporting the subject matter experts that come into the community, as well as the podcast movement and mission to bring content that is educational, inspirational, and motivational, while we also factor in the need for diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging, because it does take all of us coming together to make this world a better place. We're all here to make some type of imprint, and you never know how the imprint that you make today can drive the impact to curate that foundation, that legacy, and that empire that you desire. So until then, my big ask is for brand sponsors. If that's you and you want to partner where your brand will be heard in the top 2% globally out of 2.8 million podcasts, which is the ranking and the metrics for this show currently, head on over to genesisamarisKemp.net or send me a personalized email to genesisamarisKemp@gmail.com to learn more. Until then, peace, love, and lots of blessings. Signing out, Miss Genesis Amaris Kemp and Brianne Ligori.